Okay, so our next lesson is 5.5b, Law of Sines, finding the missing angle of a triangle that is not a right triangle, so acute or obtuse. So if you remember in our last lesson, we were able to find a missing side as long as we had corresponding angles to the angles to the sides. So in today's lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what can we do to find the missing angle. So in order to find the missing angle, we're going to have an angle given with its corresponding side, and we need a corresponding side to the missing angle. So we set up a proportion. Remember, there is a C, but we only need these four in order to create a proportion. And so let's say that we are looking for angle A, and they give us the side that corresponds to it, and they give us, or we're looking for an angle B. So let's say we don't know what that is, and we are given a corresponding side B. So we would set up the proportion like we did in the last lesson, but you're going to have to do a couple new things to your calculator in order to get the correct answer. So please be very careful. Here is a couple examples. So example number 1. Let's take, say, acute triangle. It could be obtuse. Well, in this case, we got 82 degrees. That's a given. And we have the side across from it, 29. And then I have X. That's an angle I'm looking for, but I do have a corresponding side of 20 right here. So let's solve for the missing angle X. Well, we're going to set up our proportion just like we did on last week's lesson using the law of sines. So I have this missing angle, which we'll call the sine of X, because I don't know what X is to 20. So it's corresponding to 20, so I set up my fraction. This is equal to, and then we have our actual ratio, and this is our proportion where we have the other angle, sine of 82 degrees is to 29. Now we are going to cross multiply and divide since this is a proportion. And so I would have 20 sine 82 is equal to 29 sine X. Now keep in mind, you could have it either way. You could have said 29 sine X on the left, 20 sine 82 on the right. It's going to give you the same answer. So I'll actually show you the other way on our next example. Now let's solve for X. Well, the sine is linked to the X. So when I get rid of the 29, only the 29 is coming over, the sine is not, because these two are kind of linked together. So I divide by 29, divide by 29. That's it. Now we got to put it in the calculator. So this is how I want you to put it in the calculator. You're going to take the 82, and you're going to do that first. Then you're going to press the sine button, times 20 equals. So make sure you press the equals button. Then you're going to put divided by 29, and then you're going to press equals again. Okay, if you don't get that total, then you're going to get a wrong answer. Then you're going to find the second button. Now I'm going to show you here in a second. The second button on your calculator, and then you're going to press sine. Now it's actually going to show up after you press the second button as sine inverse. So in other words, it's going to help you find the angle measure. Now when you put this in the calculator, you should get 43.1 degrees. Notice I did not show where you press equals again. These are the only two locations you'll press equals. Alright, so let's take our calculator and see how this works. Remember from last week, we take our calculator, turn it sideways so we can get it into trig notation. And let's put it in just like I said, 82 sine times 20 equals. You get 19.8, so on, so on. Now you're going to press divided by 29 equals, and you get this other decimal answer, but I need the angle measure. So if you remember in our lessons earlier on in the year using trig, when we're trying to find the angles, we had to do the inverse. So we're going to press this second button, and notice how sine became the inverse sine, sine -1. Now press that. 43.07 or 43.1 degrees. Now be careful. When you get your calculator ready for your next set, when you push clear, notice that your second button is still highlighted. So press it again so it goes back to the way it was. Alright, here is example number 2. Alright, so let's say that I give you 100 degrees here. This is 15. This is 7. And we are looking for x. So we need to find the value of x, the angle measure. So let's use our law of sines. So this would be sine x is the 7 as sine 100 is to 15. And we want to solve for x, the angle. Alright, so we cross multiply, divide, and this time I'm going to use the x on the left side just to show you get the exact same answer. So 15 sine x equals to 7 sine 100. Divided by 15. Divided by 15. And let's pick up our calculators and do the same thing. Alright, so turn it sideways. Let's make sure we go in the correct order. So this is 100 sine times 7 equals divided by 15 equals, and we want the angle measure, so this is going to be the second sine, and we get 27.35 degrees. So if we're rounding one decimal place, this would be 27.4 degrees. And there's your lesson.